Everybody, it's Mike Sullivan with Born to Shine. Today we have a lovely guest. She's amazing and she lives in New Jersey. Her name is Deborah Sarmir and she's the assistant superintendent. So she's a pretty big deal. And you know what? Thank you, Deborah, for being with us today and making some time.
My pleasure. My absolute pleasure to be here. Yes, so I am the assistant superintendent and I'm in Bergen County, which is a very highly populated county in northeast New Jersey, very close to New York City. And we have three schools. We have Northern Valley Old Tappan, which is the most northern of our schools. Then we have Northern Valley Demarest, and we have Northern Valley Central, which pulls students from all over the county, special needs students from ages 2 to 23.
Yeah, that's incredible. I know you were sharing that before we started recording, and that's really incredible. So I hats off to you for doing that because yeah, actually I had a little personal experience with that after graduating college and got my psych degree. I worked with kids that had autism in Chicago, and actually one of my best friends in Los Angeles, where I live now, has autism. So I think what you do is amazing. So thank you for doing what you do.
They're amazing people. They're amazing children.
Absolutely. Well, can you share with our guests, because what they really want to know is your story. They want to know about Deborah. So what was your journey like to become an assistant superintendent? Because that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, so mine's a little bit off the charts. It's a little bit different than some people. I actually went to college young, a year early. I started college at 16 and I went for not education. I had always, since I was a little girl, wanted to be a teacher, but was talked out of it. I was talked out of it by guidance counselors, a little bit from my parents saying, no, you should do more. And that was really the message. And I listened because what did I know? So I went to school and I essentially had a great time, but got the wrong degree. And shortly after I got married, I went back and I said, no, this is not what I want to do. I've always wanted to teach. I should have followed my gut, my heart, and do what I've always been born to do. And that was teach. So I went back and got a master's degree in education instruction. And I taught for 19 years, which was amazing. So yeah. As an administrator, that's a little bit of an unusual story as well, because a lot of people would make the leap much earlier than that. But I love it. I still love it. I still love it. And when every time I'm interacting with the kids, I go back and I go, that's where I belong. I love that so much because it's still such that give and take, and you could just get to connect with them and help them to grow into their best self. It's magical. So anyway, I did that for 19 years. And then in 2011, I did shift and I went also a little bit out of the ordinary. I went right into a principal role. A lot of people will go into a supervisory or an assistant principal role. I had done a lot of work in leadership as an educator and when I was still in the classroom, and went to a principal role in a K-6 building, which was wonderful. Then I went to a director of curriculum instruction for 1 year, and then took over as an assistant superintendent in Montgomery, which is in central Jersey, Somerset County. I was there for 5 years, and now I am in my 5th year at Northern Valley. So it's been an interesting journey. It's been a long career, very rewarding, very wonderful, but it's been a lot of differences, lots of ups and downs.
That's incredible. 19 years as a teacher, and now your 5th year? And on the
5th year as an assistant soup here, but then I was 5 years at I'm totally giving away my age now, but and you also know that wasn't my first degree, so you can have the numbers out, but it's all good. So yeah, I was 5 years at Montgomery as assistant soup. So this is actually I'm in my 10th year of being an assistant superintendent.
Amazing.
And I was a principal for 2 years and a director of curriculum and instruction for 1.
That's awesome. Wow. Okay. Incredible. So you've got a ton of life experience. So this is, okay, good. Well, then that leads us to the next question. With your life experience and helping the kiddos and in many different roles, teacher, principal, admin, assistant superintendent, did you on a personal level have any struggles when you were growing up? Because kids are really struggling. I mean, even before COVID and after, and myself personally, I struggled as a kid with anxiety and depression, and no one talked about it. Did you have any struggles that you're open to share?
I have ADHD. I didn't actually realize that, much like you were saying. It wasn't something that was necessarily talked about. I was just one of those kids that was like, she talks a lot, she's very busy, she does a lot, like things like this, but I was intelligent enough and had developed internally some compensatory methods, which I didn't even know what that word was, but I kind of did things that made me be successful. So it really wasn't until my 30s where I was like a mom. I was going back for my second master's degree in ed leadership. I was teaching full time. I was a president of our teachers union, which is a huge deal. I don't know how it is in the rest of the country, but in New Jersey, that's a very big deal. And there were a lot of balls in the air, and I just couldn't focus on anything. I'm like, oh my goodness, just jumping from one to the other. I'm like, this is not normal. All of my compensatory methods that I had developed and used successfully weren't enough anymore. And it was really when my own older son, who is now 25, got to be about 5 years old. And I, at that point, was teaching first and second grade. I was like, wow, I can't focus on anything. So I started talking to a doctor, and it took about a year before they were like, you might be helped by some medication. And it was like magic.
Good.
It was so helpful to me. And nobody had ever even suggested it until I was in my 30s. I mean, it was a lot to, like, looking back, I think, oh my gosh, what if I'd had that support system in place in my 20s? What if I'd had it in high school? What if I, different points in my life, I've kind of, everything happens for a reason. I totally believe in that. That's a deep-seated belief system that I have. So I'm very comfortable with who I am now and where I have landed. So it all happens for a reason. So I'm glad, but I often kind of go, I wonder what would have been different.
That's incredible. And thank you for sharing that. And there's so many kids that are, and adults that are struggling with something silently, and they don't talk about it, or they hold it inside, and there's all this shame. And I know on a personal level, because I felt all of that myself for many, many years growing up. But if anyone's listening, I love that you just shared what you shared. And if anyone's listening now that can relate to Deborah, which so many people have ADHD, I have it myself. And so I totally get it. And if there's anyone listening that can relate to Deborah, please talk to someone, just like you did. There's no shame in it. You've talked to someone, I've talked to someone. We all need a coach. Just like Tiger Woods needs a golf coach, just like Kelly Slater needs a surfing coach, just like Michael Jordan had a basketball coach. They're all the best in the world. But yeah, we all benefit from getting coaching. So if you're listening and you're struggling, please just open up and talk to someone. And your teachers are there to help you. Your parents are there to help you. There's counselors, and even on the district level, if you run into them, they care. Look at Deborah, assistant superintendent, she cares. So just open up and share with someone, because there are people that care.
Absolutely. That's so important. And when you're sitting there, at least for me, I would sit there and look at other, typically women, because I was in a teaching role, so that I was mostly surrounded by females. And I would be like, I don't know how they're pulling it off. What's wrong with me that I seem to be, jumping from one thing to the other and not necessarily finishing anything. And I also am a type A, so I want to do it perfectly. So I wasn't able to do that. And I would look at people from the outside and think, what am I doing wrong? What's wrong with me? And it wasn't until I realized, well, there is actually a chemical thing going on, and you can do better, and it's not you at all. And I just, reaching out and getting that help, it's critical. It's so important, and there's no shame in it. It's
none at all. No, when it's chemical, there's nothing we can do. I mean, all the talk therapy in the world helps, but if it's truly something chemical like that you have, and same with me, I'll share a vulnerable moment too. I struggle with OCD, so the thoughts stick, and they stick, and they stick, and it's chemical. And yes, CBT and all the ERP and EMDR and every acronym A through Z, you can do it all, and it does help. But sometimes just that tiny bit of medicine helps. And so there's no shame. And God makes all of us different. Some of us, all the brain chemistry is right there, and others, it's just, we're a little different, and that's okay. So yeah, I love that you shared that, because some people feel shame when it comes to medicine. They'll think, well, why do I need it? Am I broken? Is there something wrong with me?
Exactly. And they feel like it's like a crutch or a weakness, and it's not.
Not at all.
It's like taking any type of medication that you might need, whether it be for diabetes or for high blood pressure or any of these things. It's something that the way your body is built needs this.
Exactly.
And that's it. It's black and white. We have to get, as a country, as a society, past that, so people can get what they need.
Absolutely, because there is a stigma and it is taboo, and I struggled with it even personally myself, because the talk therapy has helped me a ton, and for sure it's valuable. It's extremely valuable. And then in someone's case like mine or yours, where chemically we can have a little boost, why not? It helps. It's a game changer. So it was for
It was
you.
for me.
Yeah, same for me.
Immediately,
Same.
immediately. Yeah.
Same. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. That's awesome. And um, the last question is, what's working for your district on a district level? Because you're like the mama bear, right? Of the whole district and all the kiddos. And you probably, how many kiddos do you have? You got what, 2 high schools and a special?
Yeah. So with all of the kids, it's under 3,000. It's
Yeah,
just
that's a lot of kids.
a lot of
So
kids.
yes. Now, as the mama bear of those 3,000 kids, what do you notice that's working really well? Like, are you bringing in outside programs, or do you have counselors or psychologists, or do you
Yeah.
have?
It's amazing, Michael, because I have a team, my guidance department, who, upon my arrival in Northern Valley, started talking to me about this great idea they had. They were like, we've been to districts who do this thing called a wellness center, and we think that we could enhance our counseling services, because I'm a very incredibly high performing upper middle class area. So there's a tremendous amount of pressure on the two high schools, the students in the two high schools. So they were like, all about career counseling and how do I help you to get into AP courses and do well on the AP exams and all of those college kinds of things, and career and technical discussions. But they're like, we're missing this piece over here. And we need to help our kids to learn resilience. We need to help our kids learn coping mechanisms. We need to help our kids to understand who they are as a person so that they can become the best version of themselves. So we talked about it. It was met lukewarm, let's hear more, because there was a cost involved and things like this. And magically, after about 3 years, we launched this incredible program, and we did it the year COVID hit. So it was like we had a crystal ball and said, we're going to need some extra things in place.
Yeah.
And thank God we had them. So we had the year that COVID hit in March, and we shut our doors on March 13th. We had this wellness center that was already in place. And what they did was they hired 2 wellness coordinators, one in each high school, that's kind of orchestrating the program. And they think of it like a tiered approach. So if anybody is familiar with multi-tiered systems of support for academics, we kind of took that model and we said, we're going to do tiered support. So our bottom tier, which is the bottom of the triangle when you're thinking about it, are the interventions that every single student is getting. We're pushing ourselves into the classroom. We built a freshman transition seminar to help them understand how to better develop their executive functioning, and how to handle, oh, I want to be in sports, and I want to be in the theater, and I want to do this, and I also want to do well academically. So how do I balance all of that and still have a life and enjoy myself, and not just be, running on the treadmill at full speed? So there's that bottom tier that every child gets. And then there's a second tier called supplemental social emotional learning support. And these would be the kinds of things that kids are getting where you do small groups, or there's something that either a teacher or the child themselves or a parent or a group of kids might be going into and working on and saying, here, let me stop into this wonderful place and be a part of this group. And both of the coordinators are fabulous, and they came up with all of these like really cute ideas to enhance. Who wants to talk about this? We're going to meet here for a coffee clutch, or we're going to meet here and we're going to have lollipops and sit and do this, and they have it built sort of like a Starbucks, so it's a very calming, beautiful, wonderful, welcoming space. And so that's that second tier. And then the top is the more intensive. So this would be more the one-on-one counseling or that more intensive support system. So every child in our district gets what they need, which is incredible. Because I mean, we're just the adversity and disruption and crisis that came about as a part of COVID. I can't even fathom what would have happened had we not already had these structures in the making. I mean, it was our first year. We had a lot to learn. We're doing better this year even than we did the first year, but like it was amazing. It was truly as if our guidance department had this crystal ball and said, Debbie, we got to make this happen. How can we make it happen? And thank goodness we launched it when we did, because it was exactly what we needed. And it's a beautiful thing. I mean, is everything perfect? No, kids are having, low mood and lack of motivation, anxiety, depression, school phobia, trauma, loneliness, suicidality. Like all of these things are still there, but at least we are talking about them. We are making everyone, or trying to help everyone to become comfortable and not be afraid, as you said a little while ago, to ask for help and get the support systems that they need, and do it in a way that's comfortable, and we're normalizing it.
Love it. That was just amazing. Everything you just said, I love it. If I went to your school as a high school kid, I would have loved it. That just sounds so awesome. So thank you and everyone within your district that created it, that implemented it.
They are amazing. They are amazing.
Bravo. And it's amazing. The coolest thing is that you guys are talking about things that need to be talked about, that need to be brought to the light, that need to be taken out of that dark, damp, moldy, cold closet and ripped out and exposed to the sunlight. And here's what we have. We have loneliness, we have anxiety, we have depression, we have eating disorders, we have cutting, we have on and on and on and on.
Yes.
And every kid has it, some form or another. Every
Yes.
kid struggles with something. And the fact that you have a program where they feel safe and they feel heard and they feel valued and they feel taken care of, that's incredible. So I'm so glad you have that. And if there's someone that's listening, probably another assistant superintendent, if they say, well, can we borrow that course, or how does that work, or how would we get in touch with
Email me. I'm happy to share. It is a journey that I cannot, it wasn't me. It was, I helped them to pave the way, but they are running with it. They are amazing people. But I think every school needs it. Our school, I felt particularly, these are kids that nobody looks at and says, you're obviously struggling, because these are the students that are put into situations where they have to achieve, because they're already in families where so much has been accomplished. So they feel like they have to measure up to that. And it is a tremendous lot. And I think that in a lot of ways, I mean, as you said a moment ago, every child needs support systems, but these students didn't necessarily have them, because it was like, outwardly, you look fine. You're happy, you're dressed well, you're going on these lovely vacations, your family is, comfortable, you're not struggling with some of the other things that students have to deal with. But it's a different set of struggles, and it's real, and it's pressure. And, it's not, don't just get into college, but I want you to go to Columbia. I want you
Harvard.
to go
you have to go to Harvard.
Yeah.
That's it. There's nothing else. Harvard or nothing.
Like second grade, you're hearing this. Like, you have these elementary parents that are doing this. I want to say one other thing real quickly.
Please do.
So one of the things that these wellness coordinators did is they're doing a wellness fair. So this is an opportunity. It's happening on, I think the 22nd of November, but this is the third year that they've done it. And the students have the choice of 33 sessions, but they have everything on here: acupuncture, be your best self, being in the moment, benefits of strength training, body image and social media, reducing the impact of these things, the body-brain connection, chiropractor, cultivating healthy relationships, fitness, 5 ways to crush anxiety this year. Like these are amazing that our people came up with this, and the students have 3 half-hour sessions that they can go in. There's dog therapy in here. It's, and they just get to touch on it. And it's that's that bottom layer where every kid is getting to experience it for half a day. And they go into these 3 sessions, and it's just magical.
That is magical. And thank you so much for doing that and what you do, and all of you creating that. That's incredible. And if there's anything that any other last thoughts, maybe something that I missed to ask, or if you thought, I want to share this too. Is there anything else you want to leave with anyone that maybe struggling, or maybe going through something? What would you want to leave for them as a last thought?
I would say I think you've already said it very well, that you always need to not be ashamed, not keep it inside, not take it upon yourself. This is something that I've caused, or is my problem, or I'm trying to hide it. but reach out and talk to people and get the help you need, because there are so many resources. And as you said multiple times today, everybody's dealing with something. So we all have to kind of just raise each other up.
Debbie, thank you so much. Thank you for being with us today and sharing your time and your story and your heart with us. I really felt that, and you're amazing. So thank you for being with us.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you for doing what you do.
Oh, it's I couldn't think of doing anything else. So yeah, we're cut from the same cloth. So thank you again.
You're very, very welcome.